On March 1, 1953, at the Kuntsevo dacha, the Iron Man, Stalin, collapsed, leaving behind a vast empire and stunned disbelief. After nearly 30 years of absolute rule, he left no final testament, no political will, and in doing so, he created a colossal power vacuum at the very heart of Moscow. What followed was a war without gunfire, a silent struggle for succession. Behind the towering walls of the Kremlin, a quiet division of political spoils began. That very night, the Politburo convened in emergency session. The atmosphere was thick, heavy with grief, yet sharper still with calculation. It was Beria who shattered the silence. With deliberate confidence, he proposed Malenkov as head of government. A silent pact was sealed almost instantly. Malenkov returned the favor by placing the entire security and internal affairs apparatus into Beria's hands. It was a chilling exchange, power traded for protection. The others sat frozen. Though terrified of the secret police chief's immense authority, not one of them dared to object. In a shadowed corner of the chessboard, Khrushchev chose patience. He offered only a modest suggestion: appoint Zhukov as Deputy Minister of Defense. At the time, no one suspected that the Zhukov piece was the lethal trap Khrushchev had carefully planted, one that would later overturn the entire game. Within hours, a new order had formed. The leadership list published in Pravda officially confirmed the rise of a new triumvirate. But that announcement marked not stability, rather the beginning of a deadly contest. Welcome to Travel Story. I'm MC Leo. If you're passionate about history, subscribe to the channel and join me for the next chapters of this extraordinary journey. On the surface, the Soviet Union now resembled a carriage pulled by three powerful horses: Malenkov, Beria, and Khrushchev. But beneath that polished facade, everyone understood the truth. Malenkov was little more than a silhouette, carefully positioned by Beria to deceive the world. Beria was a capable technocrat, skilled in administration, yet lacking iron resolve, and that made him the perfect frontman, precisely the kind of leader Beria could control from the shadows. Once he officially assumed command of the newly merged Ministry of Internal Affairs, Beria did not merely control the police, he controlled the very soul of the empire. Every intelligence network, every border guard unit, even the most classified projects such as nuclear weapons research rested squarely in his hands. But what made him truly terrifying was something far more lethal: the archive of black files he had meticulously compiled during Stalin's era of purges. Beria knew every hidden corner, every misstep, every dark secret belonging to each member of the Politburo. During meetings, his gaze felt like a suspended death sentence. Even old Bolshevik veterans like Molotov and Mikoyan shuddered under the weight of that stare, haunted by the sense that they were never, ever unwatched. Meanwhile, Khrushchev, ranked lower in formal hierarchy, quietly tightened his grip on the party apparatus. Cautiously, patiently, he began constructing his own network of allies. Beria's rise was suffocatingly swift. Within weeks, he had transformed himself into a near-untouchable superleader. He commanded an elite force of 10 divisions that answered only to him personally, turning the Kremlin into a fortress where he was the true master. Every word spoken, every step taken, all were intercepted, recorded, and reported back without omission. A thick fog of suspicion settled over Moscow, for everyone understood a chilling reality. They were no longer comrades, they were prey, laid out on the executioner's block, waiting beneath the watchful eyes of a professional killer. Beria's return was not merely the reclaiming of a powerful title. By merging the Ministry of State Security into the Ministry of Internal Affairs, he secured the master key to every hidden chamber of the Soviet Empire. Imagine it.
the intelligence networks, undercover agents, border troops, even the security detail guarding the highest-ranking officials, all reporting to one man. Beria was not just an administrator, he was a seasoned executioner. He had personally overseen the Great Purges under Stalin, commanded the vast Gulag labor camp system, and directed the Soviet Union's top-secret nuclear weapons program. Yet the most terrifying weapon he possessed was not the atomic bomb. It was paper. Thick black dossiers, meticulously preserved, confidential files containing every weakness, every error, every compromising secret of each member of the Politburo dating back to the Stalin era. Inside the Kremlin's meeting halls, Beria often sat in silence, but his shadow loomed like a blade suspended overhead, cold and merciless. Anyone could be destroyed if he so chose. More alarming still, Beria controlled a personal military force of up to 10 elite divisions, answering only to his direct command, ready to move at a moment's notice. This made him something unprecedented, a state within a state, an autonomous power center that defied restraint. To his colleagues, Beria was no longer a comrade. He was a living threat, one that hovered with every breath they took. They understood a chilling truth. With a single nod from him, their lives could vanish instantly. And any attempt to contain him seemed futile against a power so absolute and so ruthlessly applied.
Just one day after Stalin's death, Beria wasted no time. He launched a lightning-fast reform campaign that history would later call the 100 Days Policy. His first move was breathtaking, a mass amnesty on an unprecedented scale. In a single stroke, more than half of the 2 million prisoners across the Soviet Union were released unconditionally, overnight. To win public favor, Beria pushed for reductions in consumer goods prices, carefully crafting the image of a new leader, merciful, pragmatic, attentive to the people's daily struggles. But his most shocking decision came next. He moved to exonerate the defendants in the infamous doctor's plot, a case personally orchestrated by Stalin in his final months. On the surface, it looked like justice restored. In reality, it was a calculated maneuver, shielding his loyalists while purging those within the Ministry of Internal Affairs who did not bend to his will. Beria was rebranding himself. He was scrubbing away the image of a ruthless executioner and reshaping himself as a progressive reformer, building political capital for a far greater ambition. And once he felt his influence swelling, he struck. He openly denounced Khrushchev's agricultural policies as catastrophic failures. He stripped Moscow of direct control over industrial management and transferred authority to the Soviet republics, cutting directly into Malenkov's core power base. In Ukraine, Beria moved with surgical precision. He removed local leaders aligned with Khrushchev and replaced them with his own loyal cadres, all under the banner of promoting indigenous leadership. These were no longer reforms. They were coordinated assaults, designed to dismantle the entire patronage networks of his rivals. To his colleagues in the Politburo, Beria was morphing into something far more dangerous than a factional contender. He was becoming a super dictator, controlling security, economic policy, and administrative authority all at once. The threat felt immediate, existential. As Khrushchev would later describe it, they all felt like slabs of meat laid out on the butcher's block, able to be rearranged, carved up, and eliminated at any moment. And it was that very fear, the fear of annihilation, that forced men who deeply mistrusted one another to clasp hands in secret. Behind closed doors, they began preparing for a dramatic palace coup, one final gamble to bring down the man who now held the power of life and death over them all. Beria's expansion of power had reached the breaking point.
The moment he began carving into the vested interests of his own allies, the sentence against him was quietly being written. Publicly humiliating Khrushchev over agricultural failures and stripping Malenkov of industrial authority was no mere policy disagreement. It was an open declaration of war. Khrushchev, a man renowned for his political instinct, understood the stakes immediately. If he did not act now, he and everyone around him would soon fall victim to a dictatorship even more suffocating than Stalin's. At this stage, Beria did not just control weapons, he controlled truth itself. Through the vast machinery of the internal security apparatus, he possessed the darkest secrets of every man in the room. The sensation was unbearable, like slabs of meat laid out on a butcher's table, waiting for the knife. And so rivals who had been maneuvering against one another suddenly found themselves bound by a common instinct: survival. Khrushchev began holding clandestine meetings. Quietly, carefully, he persuaded Malenkov and Molotov that Beria had become a monster, one that must be eliminated before it was too late. A breathtaking palace coup was drafted right under the nose of the very spy network Beria so proudly commanded. For when a man who holds everyone else's secrets grows too confident in his own invincibility, that is precisely when he becomes most vulnerable. Bringing down Beria was not simply about removing a rival. It was about breaking the iron grip of the police state over the fate of an entire nation. And once the madman was gone, who would inherit the enormous cake of power? Who would remain standing at the summit of the Kremlin when the storm finally passed? Thank you for watching until the very end. Subscribe to the channel to catch part 2, where we answer the hardest, most dangerous questions of all.